podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Hon?
Yo.
Why is the carpet all wet? And what in the hell is all the feathers doing flying around the house? And fur.
Stuff happened. There was an incident.
Like the noodle incident?
Shh! We don't talk about the noodle incident. I just had some guests over to preview the movies that we're going to talk about this week. You know, things from the sky.
That explains the big hole in the ceiling.
And things from the sea. Don't go in the bathroom.
And the hole in the bathtub.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't go in the... Oh, you went in the bathtub. In the bathroom. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, well, surprise!
Go big or go to the big screen continues as for our Halloween stuff as we look at Above and Below.
Yes.
Air and Sea. On this week's Screen Screams edition of Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Stick around.
We've got lots of fun coming up this week. Get the mop. Screams!
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Lasting out of B-Town, USA. You're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome T.C. and Kim.
You get the mop. I'm not mopping up after your friends.
Well, okay, fine. Actually, do we have one of those things that suck up the water from the carpet? Because we might need one of those. Yeah. Them, yeah.
You'll get one, I suppose.
Right. Okay, whoops.
After the show.
Fine.
Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 637, day and date, October 27, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the midst of our Halloween shows. Don't forget we have another show coming up on Thursday.
Yep.
This week it is Halloween.
Yes.
One more segment of this. And, Go Big or Go Big Screen.
Yes.
This week looking at stuff from the sky and from the sea.
Yes. Both places where human beings don't feel comfortable. Because we can't function well in either place without help. You know, I mean, people can be pretty smug about the fact that, human beings can just, walk around the block, and we're pretty comfortable breathing air and all that stuff like that. Mm-hmm. However, we can't fly without the use of other things to help us fly. Which, if you think about it, the fact that you're thousands and thousands
Why would we need to fly anyway? We just get the teleporters working, and flight would be
when you think about the idea that we're thousands of feet up in the air in a pressurized tin can.
See, isn't that a reason for getting rid of the airlines? Get a teleporter made. Get rid of the airlines, and then all the carbon goes away, and you don't have. I mean, they're the biggest contributors to the carbon problem.
Yeah, that's honestly one of them. True.
So let's get that transporter working, guys.
Except for the whole worried about being beamed into a wall. Or something like that.
Well, that's not going to happen because it's going to be a personal it'll just phase you from one place to another through hyperspace.
Because that sounds safe.
That sounds funny safe. Hey, they do it on Doctor Who. Anyway.
Oh, yes. And he's a well-adjusted individual that you'd want to... Well, I'd go in a TARDIS with him, but that's because
we would.
I'm me.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, I mean, we need help if we're in the air. We need help if we're in the water because we can't breathe in the water.
Yeah, where's the cities underwater? Where's the underwater cities?
This little thing called drowning. You know,
I mean, we don't have any underwater cities. We're supposed to have underwater cities by 2014, according to Sequest when it was on.
To be perfectly honest...
We're 5 years past that, guys.
Yo, hold up.
What happened, Steven?
Wait a minute. Whoa. To be perfectly honest, I actually don't think the whole underwater city thing is a good idea, simply because I think people would go nuts because...
Yeah, that's kind of what they implied on Sequest.
You know, we need the sun. We need the vitamin D, you know, and all that stuff like that. I mean, people get pouty and moody and stuff, and by people, I'm also including me in that, when in the wintertime we don't see the sun. And that's just for a couple of months.
You'd go claustrophobic crazy if you were under the
no,
sun.
I'd be gouging my eyes out. I admit that.
It couldn't be as worse as some of the stuff on... wouldn't be afraid of that, though, the way I would be afraid of some of the stuff on Theme Park Crazy's new list.
Oh, no. Theme Park Crazy's new list is the top 10 scariest rides for people who are afraid of heights. Voted on.
Check him out at Theme Park Crazy on YouTube.
It's a terrific list. Yeah. And horrifying because there is no way in heaven or hell you would get me on any of those things. Forget it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, unfortunately...
Let's get back to the discussion at hand.
I mean, while the sky and the sea are both beautiful things, full of wonder and mystery and, you know, things that are lovely like butterflies and dolphins and things like that, respectively, there are also things up there and down there that can be less than copacetic with humans.
Like pterodactyls.
Or pterodactyls, for those of you who weren't Danger Mouse fans from back in the day.
Are we having a petite party with
Would you please? Moving forward. Specifically, we're talking about Rodin.
We are?
Well, that's the biggest pterodactyl. Actually, he's a pterodon, I think.
Yeah. And he doesn't look that big in comparison.
Compared to what?
Comparison to the other kaiju. He's not as big as Mothra. I don't think.
Well, it's hard to tell because Mothra, this is a really weird, who was also a flying monster.
Yeah.
But she's a nice flying monster.
It's a moth. It's a giant moth, I tell you!
There's no need to get species-centric over there, buddy.
We'll get to Mothra in a few minutes anyway.
Mothra, this is going to sound stupid. I mean, Mothra's, you know, horizontal and Rodin is vertical, so I don't, you know, it's kind of hard to judge. You know, I mean, do you know what I mean? That sounded so lame. I'm so sorry.
I don't have any clue as to how to judge that, because if you set them side by side, Mothra's probably got a larger
Mothra's
wingspan.
probably bigger, and she's much more attractive. There, I said it. But Rodin is a pretty dangerous being. He's actually a pterodon. He's not a pterodactyl. So there's that.
Is it a pterodon or just pterodon?
No, it's a pterodon.
There's no P in front of it like pterodactyl.
There is a P in front of it.
So it's pterodon then.
You're being a petwit. Knock it off. I have to be honest, the first Rodin film, which came out after Godzilla, because they realized, oh my gosh, we can make money with these films, I actually think is a very sad film. The end of it is extremely sad.
The whole movie's sad. People are dying all the way through it.
Well, people are dying through it, yeah, and I suppose that's sad, but I don't watch those movies for people. I watch them for the monsters, so there's just that, and that's me. No,
it's called Miracle on the Hudson Syndrome.
I make one innocent remark, and it's hung over my head like the freaking sword of Damocles.
Are the birds okay? No, nothing about the people. The birds. Okay. Anyway. Never mind.
Email me if you want to know. PlatinumRoselle@yahoo.com, because I'm not... I refuse to apologize for that. I refuse. Anyway. Rodin's debut film, which the weird thing with that film is he's actually not the monster that we see first in the film. With the film, there's, you know, the first fatalities are caused by these enormous bug larva grubby things.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to know what that looks like when it grows up. Because we find out
molts
that...
into Rodan, doesn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Rodan eats those.
Oh, that's right.
That's his food source.
Right.
And when you consider the fact that those bug things that are killing the miners in the, that are working in the mine where they've been digging too deep and they've found these things, probably wish they'd found a Balrog at that point. The bug things that have these big, sharp, claws and teeth and stuff, they're about, 10, 12 feet long, I suppose. I'm not really sure. And when we see Rodan eating these things, it's like watching a bird pecking at your lawn trying to get worms. And it's like, oh, crap.
That's not good.
And when you seriously think about the fact that we actually see from a flashback in the film Rodan hatching, because that's one of the characters sees this. So that's a baby. That's a baby one of these things.
Yeah.
So let's think about that for a minute.
Oh, God, do we have to? That's going to lead to, Gorgo and Gappa and all that stuff.
Well, I'm just saying, unless they're born, when they hatch, they're fully grown, which I suppose...
He's not from Orc, honey.
I suppose could happen, but I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. But anyway, the end of the film where the first Rodan and a second Rodan, who they refer to as its mate, I'm like, I don't know how you figure that out, but okay, wind up committing suicide. One of them dies and the other one won't fly away. They stay and they die with their partner. They're overcome by fumes and stuff, and then they literally lie down on this volcano and die. It's sad. I mean, I know a lot
it is, but it gets better.
What do you mean?
In other movies.
Well, he gets better.
Does not make his only appearance in
No,
Rodan.
he doesn't. No, Rodan is featured in quite a few films. And he is actually one of the monsters that they actually do go into the whole fact that because of his size, just him flying around is dangerous. Mm-hmm. Not even him, attacking stuff.
Right. Mothra's the same way because of the beating wings.
Right. With Rodan, it's different. His wings are a different style. They're more like...
more like a bat wing.
Yeah, more like the wing of a bat. And he flies more like a jet, as opposed to Mothra, who flies like a big moth, with a kind of more graceful motion involved therein.
And Pink Lady riding her back.
Would you knock it off? That's not funny. That is severely not funny. The thing that
it is.
No,
anyway,
it isn't. The thing I find so interesting about, especially Rodan in Godzilla King of the Monsters, his actions are extremely interesting as a character, not just as, oh my gosh, it's a big scary monster. Because you can tell the kaiju in the legendary verse, and why are you smirking?
What?
Well, you look like you're going to say something.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember something else I want to add later.
The kaiju in the legendary universe, which has been, Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters so
and
far.
Kong versus Godzilla coming up next year.
Yes, and Kong Skull Island, which is part of that also.
Yeah.
These are obviously not dumb, brutish animals. These are thinking creatures. Mm-hmm. That's extremely obvious, and it's exceedingly obvious with Rodan, because once King Ghidorah shows up in King of the Monsters, Rodan's all like, yeah, I'm bowing to you, you're the alpha male, and all that, until he finally notices that Godzilla is handing Ghidorah his ass. And then it's like, okay, you're the new guy in charge. Okay, guess what? I'm gonna smooch your scaly hinder now. He's obviously an intelligent, almost his reasoning, and there is reasoning involved. You can see it. It's almost, don't hate me. It's almost a Slytherin-esque way of looking at life. Yes, and all the Potter fans out there now want to stone me, but it's that's just my take on it.
I would have just said it was slimy, but that's okay.
Well, I don't know if it's some people might call it slimy, some people might call it smart. If you're not...
You can be slimy and smart at the same time.
If you're not strong enough to seize power, you're probably going to want to back the person who is strong enough and is in power.
Right.
Or kaiju, if not person.
Right.
Just my take on it. Do we want to talk about Mothra now?
Sure.
Okay. I have to be honest, and I've brought this up before, and you don't agree with me entirely, which is fine. Mothra is one of... After Godzilla, I would say Mothra is my favorite kaiju.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you always, rag on it.
I don't like the original film.
You don't like the original film.
I don't like the storyline. It has nothing to do with the character. And the character is very good. And, I mean, it seems like there's a different Mothra in every film because it dies after a year and they raise another one.
They never say how long Mothra lives.
It seems like a year, though. It doesn't seem very long.
Well, the thing is, the first time we see Mothra, which is in her first film, which is, under her name.
I know why she doesn't live very long.
Why?
Jeff's not there.
Shut up. And if you don't quit it with the Pink Lady and Jeff remarks, the show is never going to get done. The thing about Mothra that I find so interesting is that we get the impression that unlike a lot of other kaiju where it's like, oh, this kaiju exists because of radiation, or, they would the whole thing that, Godzilla was a dinosaur that was mutated, blah, 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 blah. There always seems to have been a Mothra on this island, wherever the hell the island is, because they keep changing the name. I mean, they have brought up that this island has been used for nuclear testing, which is obviously bad, because there are people there, for atomic testing and stuff like that. But and these people don't say oh, you dropped your bombs and then Mothra came. It's like they've always worshipped Mothra.
Right, yeah.
She's always been there. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something they really haven't focused on very much in the films. I just think that that's really interesting, and you could kind of go into a very cool backstory with that. If you worked at it, I think it would be really interesting. I do think it's interesting that Mothra is, I think, and other than one monster that appeared in a Godzilla film that we've talked about before, and was the big bad of that film, Mothra is the only kaiju that I can think of specifically that is pretty much always referred to in the feminine.
There are some people that refer to Godzilla in the feminine that they have never confirmed that.
Yeah, these people are wrong.
Well, I mean, when some songs have Godzilla mentioning the word she, Godzilla in a couple of the films has had a baby or babies in the Emmerich version. So the Emmerich version clearly was female.
That's Fluffy Vagina Iguana,
yes,
and we're
it
not
is,
going to talk
it's still
about that.
Part of because Zilla was made part of the mythos in Godzilla Final Wars.
All right.
So it has to be.
But Godzilla never established. You're talking about Minya, right?
The official part of Godzilla lore does not acknowledge a sex for Godzilla.
No.
So, just saying.
Mothra has always been referred to as a she and worshipped as a goddess by the people of this island that have these two tiny ladies that are referred to as the fairies or the cosmos or whatever.
Or Pink Lady.
Really?
What?
It's that they're like Mothra's oracles, I guess, for lack of a better term. They speak on Mothra's behalf, for lack of a better way of putting it. Other people have their own ideas about flying monsters and what they should look like or shouldn't look like.
We should hit King Ghidorah here before
yes,
we go any further.
Sorry, yes, another flying monster. And I think, especially in King of the Monsters, one of the most terrifying looking monsters that can fly, King Ghidorah, or King Ghidorah, depending on your pronunciation, who has pretty much always, in every film I've ever seen, been a bad guy. He's always like the ultimate big bad in the film. And the way that he was performed in King of the Monsters, I think, in King of the Monsters, I'm sorry, that was horrifying. I've always thought Ghidorah looked cool. I mean, come on, it's a giant 3-headed dragon.
With no arms.
With no arms, because he can use...
Yeah, but it still looks doofy.
He uses his... It looks doofy till he bites you. Oh, he uses his heads on the left and the right side as arms, although they do seem to be capable of independent thought, because they do tend to fight with each other a lot.
Yes, they do.
Which is really odd. And that's a flying monster that's pretty friggin' scary, that's for certain. But every once in a while, you wind up with a giant monster that is in a film that flies, and then there's been several, we're going to talk about some more, but every once in a while, you wind up with a giant monster that you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And not wow in a good way either.
And that's coming up
when Subject Cinema returns.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
The best movies. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham. And we are looking at Go Big or Go Big Screen this year on Subject Cinema's Halloween Shows Screen Screams series.
Yes.
And we're talking about the air and the sea and the big monsters therein.
Yep.
I don't know, when it comes to the movie that we were just talking about before the teaser, before the break,
there's a lot of words we could use for this movie. Most of them are words he won't let me say on the show without going into his Captain America impression.
Language?
There you go. Man. 1957's The Giant Claw. Are you gonna...
wait, that's The Giant Claw?
I was gonna say, are you gonna do that through the entire show?
No, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Okay.
Oh my God, this movie is bad and freaking hilarious.
Directed by Fred F. Sears, The Giant Claw tells the story of a being from, as it turns out, another galaxy.
That bird is extraterrestrial.
Yep.
How do you know that?
Well, nothing on this planet looks that damn goofy. Not only is it... No, check it out. Not only is this an extraterrestrial giant bird, it is a giant bird from a galaxy made of antimatter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How come it didn't explode
I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I slept through a whole lot of science class, but even I know that.
The heart is not a single cell either.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All praise to Bird-Eye Gordon's terrible science.
Looking at you, Bird-Eye Gordon. The giant claw, as it turns out, as we mentioned, is an enormous bird, which is menacing a certain, I believe it's menacing part of Canada, I believe. Those the Adirondacks, part of America, I'm sorry. And this bird is one of the dumbest things I have ever seen on screen.
Well, they don't show it for the first hour.
No, they don't.
You see shadows and flashes. But then
even
there's
the
this sudden
doesn't
close-up
show it.
of it. And that, I swear, will make you jump. Because it's so sudden. And then they pull back. And you have a chance to really sit there and let that sink in. and most people start laughing so hard they fall on the floor.
Yeah.
These poor people had to make do with a $50 marionette when their original plans for the bird fell through.
Yes.
And boy, does it show.
Oh, it does. The original plans, which no one seems to know what they were, as TC
I'll
mentioned,
look it up while you're talking.
As TC mentioned, they fell apart. What they wound up with, instead of what the bird was supposed to look like, was a marionette from Mexico that looks like, I don't even know what to call what it looks like. It's the body of it looks like just your average buzzard or vulture or something like that. The neck is absurdly long with no feathers on it.
And he has a butterface.
That's one way to look at it.
The original plan for the film was to use the stop-motion effects of legendary Ray Harryhausen, but their budget was slashed at the last minute. So they ended up having to do a marionette, which was made at a low-budget special effects studio in Mexico City. And Jeff Morrow, the lead actor in the film, confessed in an interview that no one knew what the monster looked like until the film's premiere, and he left the premiere early, embarrassed that anyone there might recognize him, as the audience laughed themselves silly.
Yeah. The face and head of this creature looks like what would happen if, I would say, Beaky Buzzard.
Yeah,
from
that's what Wikipedia compares him to, too.
If Beaky Buzzard from the Warner Brothers cartoons, the old Warner Brothers cartoons, had mated with an even uglier turkey vulture, and then the progeny of said was beaten severely about the head and shoulders by a hockey stick. This is one of the worst, not scariest, absolutely absurd things I have ever seen on camera in my life. I felt bad for Jeff Morrow. I felt worse for the unidentified and uncredited lady. There's a woman at one point who looks up in the sky and we're seeing her reacting to this bird, and she's just screaming in terror.
Yeah.
Like it's, Well,
she's an actress. That's what
I realize that. Like it's some kind of,
Allmovie.com gave the film a positive review, stating, quote, "The giant claw has a terrible reputation that isn't entirely deserved. To be sure, producer Sam Katzman opted for the cheapest, worst-looking monster that one could imagine, a ridiculous-looking giant bird puppet that makes the movie seem ludicrous. But except for those moments when the title monster is on screen, the movie isn't bad. So for the first 27 minutes until it appears for the first time and evokes its first rounds of laughter, the picture is working just fine within the confines of its budget, script, and cast." They also praised Jeff Morrow's performance as the best thing in the picture.
Well, he's obviously playing it seriously.
Yeah.
And that is, that does make a difference, and that's obviously something that you want.
When you think about that, isn't that the way you have to play these films?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, James Whitmore and I forgot
James
his name.
Arness.
James Arness playing opposite giant ants in them. You've got Paul Drake, William Hopper going opposite a giant mantis, and a couple of other giant things from the Harryhausen thing throughout the term. It's kind of hard nowadays. At least they had some people with props. Nowadays, you have to react to stuff like that with a guy holding a long stick with green screen wrapped around it with a yellow tennis ball on the end of it.
Right.
You're looking at a yellow tennis ball does not make me scream.
Well, no.
It might make the kids from Stranger Things scream. It doesn't make me scream. Okay? I mean, really.
It really is one of those. If you do kind of go like, if they had a budget and actually had done what they wanted to do,
it might have worked.
It might have actually.
Because as you said, the story isn't bad. Although the antimatter thing is kind of questionable, but the story about the extraterrestrial bird isn't bad. And if they'd made him look decent, it might have actually worked.
Yeah. But seriously, how anybody who was involved with this film, when they went to pick up that puppet, they had to be like, you've got to be kidding. You can't be serious. We can't expect people to be afraid of this. But they did. But I'm sorry, no matter how much bombastic music you play over it and how many people you have screaming at it, it ain't frightening. It just ain't. Hilarious, yes. Frightening, no.
Yeah. I was wrong about this one too. Okay. So I just looking at something.
Yeah.
It is human size, so we can't.
I told you.
Well, I wasn't sure. I had to look. It does. Have there been any just regular giant birds in these films?
Well,
we didn't get any giant bird, not including the vultures from Birdemic, which were ridiculously fake. But giant birds.
The only, I can think of one of the Harryhausen films, because that was, his stop motion brilliance. I don't remember, it was one of the Sinbad films, I think, has him battling a roc, ROC, which is a giant mythical bird. Sometimes, usually when you have giant birds in films, for the most part, they seem to be more benevolent.
Yeah.
Like the giant eagles from Tolkien's universe, And no, they couldn't have flown Frodo and Sam directly into Mordor, so don't start. Because that's the one thing, you get all these smartasses that see one movie and think they know everything. It's like, sheesh.
But there would have been no quest that way.
No, there would have. Yeah, it would have been a damn short movie.
Yeah.
But like I said, you don't usually have a giant bird as the focal point of the film. I mean, even Rodin isn't a giant bird; he's a pterodon, which is more of a lizard than a bird, really.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, another film series where you've got giant flying things running amok, but they're not giant as in like they were mutated. They're just giant because they're just big.
Have we seen
the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World?
Have we seen any pterodactyls or anything in the Jurassic Park movies?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they were pterodactyls or pterodons, because my dinosaur history is extremely limited to T-Rex, and that's it. The one that the lady that worked at the park in Jurassic World when stuff went horribly wrong and got picked up out of the one that was supposed to watch the two little boys and got
Bryce Dallas Howard, yeah,
right, and no, not her assistant.
Her assistant. Oh, right, her.
Yeah,
assistant.
her poor assistant that got picked up by the flying flying dinosaurs, and then it flew her over the water, and then that was a mess.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are giant animals, but they're not giant, like, mutated dinosaurs. They're just dinosaurs, which are friggin' big. Because they're dinosaurs. Yeah, because they're big. Yeah, and you've seen, I mean, like, any dinosaur film, you've got somebody using, not every dinosaur movie has flying dinosaurs in it, because obviously some movies that purport to have dinosaurs in them, what they actually have are iguanas that somebody taped a fin to the back of, and threw in an enclosed set with a caiman with a fin taped to the back of it, and let these poor animals bite each other and then film it. Those kind of films usually don't have flying creatures in them because they don't have the budget.
Yeah.
But more advanced dinosaur films do. And they're scary. I mean, it is frightening when you think about the idea that something could just literally come down out of the sky and grab you, pick you up, and take you somewhere and nom on you for a couple of hours until you're dead, or whatever. That's not a good thing.
When we come back, we're gonna have more stuff from Under the Sea.
Yep. When Subject Cinema returns.
Good times and great movies. Subject Cinema.
Want to listen to Subject Cinema on the go? Check out Stitcher. You can access all the latest episodes right from iPhone or Android. Check it out. Click on the Stitcher logo on our sidebar or go to Stitcher.com and search for your favorite PNR Network show. Get started today.
Want to be a part of Subject Cinema? Then email us. Your ideas, suggestions, and comments keep us going. SubjectCinema@PNRNetworks.com.
We probably can't cover the thousands of films made every year, but it's sure a lot of fun to try. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. It's Go Big or Go Big Screen with our Halloween shows this year. I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
And Subject Cinema's got something brand new for you, and we hope that you will be looking at it. It's something we've been working on for a while. It's called the PNR Networks Patron Circle, and how it works is it's $5 a month. You come on board, you get a bunch of extra stuff. You're going to get extra podcasts, extra articles, chances to chat with the people from PNR Networks, do stuff exclusively through this group, have little polls and stuff. You'll be helping to determine some stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll also be speaking more regularly, I hope, through other things we're going to be setting up as the next couple of months goes on. We hope that you'll take a time to look it over and come on board. $5 a month is not much to ask. It comes out on the first of every month through Patreon, and you don't get charged until the first of the next month. So if you join now, you don't get charged till November 1st. And I mean, I know that's Friday, but still, at the time we're doing this. But still, it's a good thing. Because let's face it, it's 17 cents a day. $5 a month is less than the cost of a large latte in most places.
Yep.
And it would greatly help us to do all kinds of cool things for you. We have so much we want to do in the next year or two. And we will give you a lot more interaction with it, including all kinds of cool stuff. Eric and Anthony and Valerie and all of us, we're all talking about different stuff we can do. And there's going to be additional podcasts and stuff like that. And if you join now and become a charter member, by November 10th, you get 2 cool perks right off the bat. You get an official Patron Circle charter subscriber membership certificate, and you get included in our very special Thanksgiving video, which will go up on Thanksgiving Day. Have your name, and also you'll also get mentioned on our website and periodically on various shows throughout the PNR Networks network of shows. We hope that you will come over and take a listen and look at what we have for you. Go to patreon.com/PNR Networks and look at the Patron Circle. We really hope you'll become a member and join our wonderful patron family at PNR Networks.
That would mean a lot to us.
It would.
So,
Sky stuff is done. Let's go under the sea.
Yeah.
Under the sea. Do, 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 do.
Shh.
What?
Disney lawyers.
Oh, yeah. Ixnay on the Disney Faye.
Yeah.
That's
scarier than any monster I can come up with. Now, we've talked about the sky, and the thing is, stuff from the water can be I think stuff from the water can be a little more frightening, because usually stuff from the water, things that are attacking from the water, usually, not every time, usually that means you're also in the water. Or close to the water. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Stop it.
But that's not a giant.
Actually, I think the shark in Jaws is, I don't know if there's anybody out there who is into ichthyology. Hit us up.
Or oceanography
or whatever, or if you know a lot about fish. The shark in Jaws, which is what his oh-so-subtle reference to.
I thought you were going to tell me we weren't doing that, so it's okay. Go ahead.
Well, the shark in Jaws, Quint says it's 25 feet long and weighs 3 tons.
That's big for a shark.
I don't know how he knows that by eyeballing it, but whatever. I think that's...
It's the booze talking.
That's abnormally large even for a great white shark, I think.
Yes, I think so too.
I'm not entirely certain. I will be the first to admit that. And, well, the thing is, for people now obviously sharks are a good go-to for scaring the crap out of people, because sharks combine a whole bunch of things at the same time. Basic primal fears that people have, and I mean everybody out there listening within the sound of my voice have, whether they want to admit it or not.
Right.
The most primal fear, one of the most primal fears there is...
Clowns.
No! I mean, yes, but no. Clown sharks. That's all the world needs. If somebody from the asylum makes that movie, I want a cut. No, what I was...
They actually have already kind of come close with something called Clownado, which it's not the asylum, but it's I've got a...
I don't even... Oh, no, I remember that. Anyway. Yeah, you showed... Yeah, that's horrifying. No, but what I was going for, dear heart, was the fear of being eaten alive. I mean, that has got to be one of the most horrible ways to die.
That kind of does involve clowns if you look at it. Well, I'm sorry, it does.
I hate it when he's right.
I know. Anyway.
But now, sharks have another thing happening with that fear of being eaten alive, and that's also the fear of drowning. Because sharks, obviously for a shark to be a threat to you, you have to be in the shark's environment, because let's face it, sharks haven't quite figured out how to get up on land and eat people yet. Land shark. If that ever happens, we're all well and truly screwed. But
for those of you who are too old who are too young to remember that,
ask
it's Saturday
your
Night
parents.
Live routine from way back.
And shut up.
1976. Anyway.
But if you're going to make a movie and try and scare the crap out of people, sharks are a good way to go because,
they're not giants, though.
Unless they are.
The Meg?
Yeah.
Okay. That I will give you that one.
Yes. The Meg, which is one of the funnest moviise I've ever seen. I'm sorry, there it is.
Which is not something you normally say about a Jason Statham film.
But no, it's not. Where else are you going to get Jason Statham to quote Dory from Finding Nemo? I almost fell out of the theater chair laughing at that. Hi, Jason. Love you. The Meg is dealing with the fact that people have found out that there's this, I don't know what you'd call it. There's an underlayer to the layer of ocean. I mean, we think of parts of the ocean that we know are wicked, wicked deep. Like, so deep that...
Mariana's Trench deep.
Yeah. Well, apparently, there's part of the ocean that's under that. Mm-hmm. And there's a barrier between that part of the ocean and the regular part of the ocean.
Right.
And there's stuff down there. Big.
Stuff and things?
And things. Big things. Big, hungry things. And one of them is a megalodon, which, horrifyingly enough, I believe was an actual animal at one point. Yeah. For those of you who want to look at something and go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I live in 2019, go look up what a megalodon they think looked like.
Yeah.
Picture the biggest shark, the biggest, meanest, most aggressive shark you can think of, hit it with gamma rays and super soldier serum and anything else you could... This is the Incredible Hulk of sharks. And in the movie The Meg, it turns out they're not quite as extinct as people thought they were. And all kinds of chaos and insanity
If you've never seen it, it is hella fun.
And it's fun as hell.
Funny as hell.
It is funny. I mean, well, some scenes...
We didn't expect it to be, but there's a lot of comedy in this film.
There is quite a lot of comedy, but there are quite a few scenes that are truly frightening as hell. Yeah. Specifically the one scene that they showed in the trailer with the little girl in the undersea lab. And you see this thing coming closer and closer to the window, and you have to figure how thick those windows are because you're keeping out the pressure of the ocean.
Right.
And the teeth marks are in the window.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy beepin' beep! Will you look at the beepin' size of that thing? I mean, the special effects on that are crazy good.
They're really well done.
But
now let's talk about another couple of animals that have been maligned in the large capacity.
Yes.
Squid.
Yes.
And octopus.
Yes.
Both of them have been
Not treated particularly well.
Yeah. They're not treated. They're treated as normal predators in some of them.
Yes, they are.
Such as Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, where we have a giant octopus, and not Journey.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
where we have
with
a
giant squid.
They're acting out of instinct. It's not really malice.
No, it's not. No, it's not malice. Yeah. It's hunger.
Yeah.
Because when you're that,
aren't completely.
When you're that damn big, you're going to be hungry. Now, the thing is, giant octopus and giant squid both actually do exist. Those are actual real things.
Yeah.
Which is really friggin' scary when you think about it.
Well, giant octopuses are not as big as what they've been portrayed in the movie.
No, they're not.
The ones that have been seen are maybe 20 feet. They're not very big. Giant squid can be 140 feet.
Giant squids attack whales.
Yeah.
Sperm whales.
Yeah.
You know how big a sperm whale is?
Yeah.
Pretty damn big.
Yeah.
So something that attacks something that damn big either better be armed or bigger. And they've found parts of giant squids in whales because they like to eat giant squids because somebody has to. And the parts of the arms and things that they've found are really long. And the thing, I think the reason that people use octopus and squid in movies as monsters, and there are monstrous sized octopus and squid used in films, is because they are so different than humans.
Right.
They're very different sorts of creatures, and they don't have, they don't have bones. They can slip in and out of places and things like that. And they're also quite intelligent, which is something that some films actually bring that up, as to the fact that they are smart. And they know how to camouflage themselves because they can do that naturally.
Yep.
They can change their color. They can change the way their skin looks so that they can hide and then attack.
Right.
And when you think about, okay, that's a bit unnerving when it's a regular little Octopus's Garden style octopus. When it's something that's about as long as a bus and all of a sudden decided you look tasty, that's a problem.
The first big giant octopus film to really make waves it came from Beneath the Sea.
Yes.
Harryhausen animation, although they only could afford 5 arms.
Yes. So that would make it it wouldn't be an octopus, would it? Pentapus. That sounds dirty. And before anybody asks, no, we're going to not talk about naughty tentacles from Japan. That's another podcast, and we ain't talking about it.
Yeah.
It came from Beneath the Sea. Now, this is an interesting film because of the fact that you do have an octopus that it's a large octopus. It's been made large by radiation and stuff like that. And the reason that it's attacking people is because it has gotten so large that it has devoured most of the fish where it lives. And the fish that it didn't devour all went, we gots to go.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get eaten, and holy cow, did you see what it did to Phil? And they all split. And the octopus is like, well, I got to find something. And so it starts attacking submarines and the Golden Gate Bridge. Again, the poor Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, the insurance on that...
We need to do a show just about how many times the Golden Gate Bridge
I mean, seriously, you've had giant octopus, you've had Decepticons, you've had Magneto. Everybody attacks the poor Golden Gate Bridge.
Golden Gate Bridge was destroyed like 4 times in 1 year. Thanks
craziness.
to Magneto and a bunch of other people. Anyway.
Another film, which I will admit is a guilty pleasure...
Yeah.
And complete crap. I will admit this film is crap.
I would think so, because it is crap.
Is Tentacles. Or Tentacoli, which is, I believe, how they say it in the native language of the people who put this abomination together. And that would be Italy.
Yeah. With American stars.
With American stars who should have all known better.
Especially Henry Fonda, who was in a whole slew of bad movies right in that particular part of his career. It also included a part, I don't know what happened, he was doing all these terrible movies like Tentacles and Meteor, and then suddenly he gets on Golden Pond and wins an Oscar and then dies.
And he was in The Swarm, which was also terrible.
Yeah, that was the same part of the year. Yeah, same thing.
But at least in this movie, he's not playing the president, because that seemed to be his stock
he
in
did that
trade.
a lot.
He
was in Virus, too.
He was playing the president of a company, though, and they were bad. Because they were the whole reason that this giant octopus in this film, and I don't know if this is a giant mutated octopus or just an abnormally large giant octopus. That made no sense. But anyway, this giant octopus has been driven crazy because people are drilling in this one area, and the drill that they're using is some kind of a drill that they're not supposed to be using, and the frequencies from this drill have made this giant octopus be all crazy and mad and stuff like that, and it started to attack humans. And by attack humans, I'm not screwing around. This thing plucks a baby in a stroller off a cliff. It manages to get one arm up there, hook the baby. We don't see any of this, thank goodness. And that's the first victim.
No, this is it was their version of the kid from Jaws.
Yeah. But at least that kid was in the water. This poor baby's just in his in his stroller doing baby things, and all of a sudden, yoink.
Yeah. Quick correction. I'm sorry. Henry Fonda was not in Virus. That was Glenn Ford.
Oh,
sorry. Wrong.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay.
So the first victim in this film is a baby. Thank you, movie.
Yeah.
And it gets progressively worse from there. And by worse,
it's a terrible film.
Yeah. By worse, I'm also talking about the giant octopus itself. Of which we don't see an awful lot. Although there is one nice scene where the octopus is, we see it from shot like you're looking up, you're underwater looking up at the octopus as it's attacking a boat. It kind of gloms onto the boat. And that's actually a good scene. I think that's actually a good scene. I mean, the end of the movie is also crap, because the end of the movie...
Well, the beginning of the movie was crap, and the middle of the movie was crap, so it makes sense that the end of the movie was crap,
like
too.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You know you're in trouble when the hero of your movie is Bo Hopkins. You are well and truly screwed, my friends. The whole way that this gets solved with this octopus is that the octopus is torn apart by a pair of killer whales trained killer whales, named Summer and Winter. Okay. The way this is done is by having two killer whale puppets, and they're very obviously puppets, pulling apart a very real octopus. Apparently, Italy didn't have one of those no animals were harmed in the making of this movie thing either.
Nobody does except America.
Yeah, well,
and Britain.
It's exceedingly uncomfortable to watch.
All right, let's dive under the sea for one other thing.
Yes.
Two films that have made use of a giant mythological creature called the Kraken.
Yes.
Clash of the Titans and the Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Right. Clash of the Titans, both versions, have used a monster called the Kraken. Do yourself a favor, and the remake that came out in the 2010s, skip it. It sucks. It does. It sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sam Worthington. I'm sorry, Liam Neeson. I'm sorry, Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, it's
it
great
sucks.
cast, but you said it wasn't very good.
Even Mads Mikkelsen
she
cannot.
Went with her friend Stacey.
Even Mads Mikkelsen cannot save this movie. Although their interpretation of Medusa was actually really cool, but that's about it.
I enjoyed the original when we watched it. I hadn't seen
the original.
We watched it on Netflix a few
The
years ago.
original actually has a very special place in my heart, because that is one of the two movies that I actually saw at the theater with my dad.
And enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. The other movie I saw with my dad was a war picture that I've completely forgotten the name of. And
Uncommon Valor, wasn't
yes,
it?
that was it.
Yeah.
Yes, that was it. That was his idea. Clash of the Titans was mine.
Did he enjoy Clash of the Titans?
I don't know. He was just kind of sitting there. I do remember him kind of looking at me like, "You like this stuff?" And I'm like, "Mm-hmm." It was, Greek mythology, and I was a mythology.
Harry Hamlin as a young guy.
Yeah, Harry Hamlin was hot.
Before L.A. Law came along
and
made him a star.
Hi, Harry. If you're out there, call me. Yeah, I mean, it's their take on the Perseus myth, and they get a lot wrong, but it's still really cool. And this Ray Harryhausen's work. Sorry, my tongue got all caught up. Which is amazing. He does all the miniature work.
Yeah.
And it's all fascinating and awesome and cool, even Bubo. But the Kraken...
Is that the bird?
Yeah.
No, the bird sucks.
Anyway,
sorry.
Well, who sucks worse, Bubo or Jar Jar Binks?
Oh, Jar Jar. Without a question.
There, now shut up.
But none of them are as bad as the Porg. Oh, hey, everybody. I'm thinking about writing a Porg cookbook for Star Wars Day next year. You want to give me a write at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com?
I can't believe you. No, of course I can believe you did that. Why did I even say that? Anyway, the Kraken, which is the a titan that has been chained at the bottom of the sea for obvious reasons, because it's violent, dangerous, and ugly as F.
Release the Kraken!
Yeah, that's been taken to mean a lot of other things, and most of them are dirty. The Kraken that we see in Pirates of the Caribbean...
That is a scary mofo.
That is a scary mofo, and actually more accurate to the mythological descriptions of what a Kraken is.
And also the D&D description of what a Kraken is.
Yes. Krakens are most people think that when people talked about Krakens in the real world, quote, quote, assuming this is the real world and we're not all in the Matrix or whatever, kidding, joking, don't mean to screw with anybody's head, that they were talking about run-ins with giant squids. Considering the fact that giant squids don't usually hang out on the surface, whatever. But
oh yeah, Lord of the Rings has a Kraken.
The Watcher in the Water, yeah, which is sometimes referred to as a Kraken. I don't know what it is. All I know is kill it with fire. We don't see a lot of the Kraken actually in the Pirates movies until it's dead, which is really irritating. Yeah. We actually see the scope of its dead body, which is pretty friggin' big, but it's dead, so screw that. But there are lots of
pretty
scenes.
Terrifying, though.
No, it is. It's very terrifying, especially when we see it when it's alive, and all we see are these big arms, and the one shot where you've got the mouth that's just rings and rings and rings of teeth. You know, roaring at Johnny Depp.
Right.
Hello, beastie. You know, back before the Pirates movies got really kind of confusing. There's a few other creatures from the depths I'd like to bring up.
Okay. Why don't we save those for the next segment?
Yes, let's do that.
We'll do those next.
When Subject Cinema returns.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
eCinemaOne is your choice for great info and commentary about the world of film and entertainment. Daily trailer postings, the latest news and film reviews, commentary about the state of the industry, the weekly Subject Cinema and 3-Minute Weekend podcast, and so much more you won't believe it. New material is being posted daily, so join us each day and see what you're missing out on. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaOne from PNRNetworks, eCinemaOne.com.
Blockbuster or bomb, it's all good for us. This is Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 637, October 27, 2019. Hip deep in our screen stuff. Go big or go big screen is what we're calling it this year. Mm-hmm. Kim has a few more denizens of the sea, a couple of them.
Yeah.
One good and one not so good that she would like to talk about.
Well, giant beings from the depths have been something that have been part of culture, everybody's culture. You know, as long as they've been as long as there have been oceans, there have been people sitting there on the shore going, "What's out there?" You know, and will it stay out there, hopefully, and not come up here and eat us? You know, I mean, going back to the Bible, going to the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, and, you know, things like, you know, all kinds of things in between. You know, we have, you know, things out there in the water that are big and usually tend to view us as either prey or an annoyance.
Oh, the newest one doesn't do that.
What?
The newest creature to emerge from the sea.
What?
What? Don't you mean who?
Who?
Luchasaurus.
Walked right into that. Eyes
and
wide.
Jungle Boy with him.
Yeah.
Underwater. Okay. AEW Wednesdays at 8 p.m. TNT Eastern Time.
And I could make a couple of remarks about being wet, but I won't. Mwah! Good night, everybody. As we've been talking about, obviously, people have been making giant monster, movies for a long time, and you have giant monster movies with sea monsters done right, and you have it where they're done wrong. And when they're wrong, oh boy, are they wrong. The films I'm talking about are The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and Reptilicus. You figure out which is which.
Oh, please. Really?
Really.
Come on, girlfriend. Don't even go there.
1953 is The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is based on actually a short story by science fiction and horror author, awesome person, and we're not worthy, Ray Bradbury. A work of his called The Foghorn tells the story of a giant dinosaur called a Retiosaurus, and I hope I said that even remotely correct, which was in suspended animation, released by atomic testing, winds up in the water, tends to make its escape through the water, and seems to be more, although it does walk around on land and not seem to have a problem with that, it can either hold its breath while it's swimming, or it can breathe in the land and the water. I'm not really sure, on
So
land.
it's Godzilla.
Possibly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Without the radioactive breath.
Right.
Everybody has to have seen clips of this film, because any retrospect of Harryhausen's work always shows this footage, because it's incredible. When you think about all of the work that would go into moving this character when it's rampaging through, through the cities and stuff like that, that's nuts. That's a miniature that somebody sat there and went, move, click, move, click, move, click. And, over and over and over again. That is crazy. That is precision and dedication and nuts. It's a really great film. And the thing that's really interesting about this film is the fact that you have this giant beast rampaging around, knocking over buildings, stepping on cars, eating people, and we actually see that when one of the dumbest cops in film history decides to stand there and be all Dirty Harry and take a shot at this thing, and it picks him up by the shoulders and just goes, well, with the legs kicking as he's like,
that's kind of nasty.
Thank you, movie. But there's also another nasty little side effect with this thing, as it turns out that when this creature is injured and bleeds, its blood carries a disease with it. Something from something from prehistoric times. Something that human beings don't have antibodies to fight. So you've got something that can literally step on people and then also doesn't even have to do anything to kill people. If you shoot at it, you're going to make it bleed. That's going to release more of this stuff. And if you think about it, that's pretty freaking scary.
It is,
Which actually also, oddly enough, blends into a movie that's complete crap. 1961's Reptilicus. Now, Reptilicus, I have to be honest, actually makes me mad. This film makes me angry, because if they had a budget of more than $5, or whatever, $5 is in, for the Danish people, this could have actually been
Swedish. It's not, isn't it from Sweden?
No, it's Danish.
It is Denmark?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was Swedish.
No, it's Danish.
Okay.
Danish-American production.
Okay.
With our old buddies AIP from America and Saga Studios from Denmark. The story of Reptilicus is that a bunch of miners that are digging in Lapland, they're like they have to use these big drills and stuff because the ground's all frozen and all that. They wind up finding a piece of an animal's body. As it turns out, it's the tail. It's part of the tail. And once this thaws out, which must smell fantastic, somehow, I've no idea how, this piece of meat, which is about the size of a TV table, I suppose.
Probably. Maybe a little bigger.
Maybe a little bit bigger, but not much, grows into a full-grown monster. Okay, I'm calling complete bullshit on this, but,
it's going on the reverse concept of losing their tail, or a glass lizard losing its tail, or a gecko, or however. They will just drop it off and run away.
Right.
But
the tail doesn't grow another lizard.
The tail grows back, but not the lizard.
Yeah, the tail. I was going to say that.
So as I said, it's reverse engineered.
Yeah, the tail will grow back on the gecko, but if it worked the other way around, we'd be up to our armpits in lizards.
What the hell, folks? You're up to your armpits in Martians.
Anyway, if you get that joke, congratulations.
Shut up.
You're a person that watches classic Warner Brothers. Ah! So anyway, somehow this chunk of flesh, not the most appealing picture I painted there, but there you go, somehow manages to grow a skeleton, nerve endings, organs, and everything else that is required to technically be alive, starts up the heart again, and...
What heart? There was no heart. It had to grow back.
My point.
Yeah.
So...
Movie sucks.
Grows into this enormous creature that eventually makes for the water, because it does seem to be more comfortable in the water as opposed to on land. Probably because it can get around faster.
Mm.
Like I mentioned, if they actually had a budget, this would have been a really fascinating idea. Because the military is all ready to be like, let's just blow it to hell. And the scientists are all like, what, are you crazy? You can't do that. Because if you think about it, if they go in there and start blasting at this thing...
However many pieces you have are going to grow into that many monsters.
Yeah. So this thing could literally flood the world with clones of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
its doofy little arms.
When you consider that itself involves being an enormous fanged lizard that spits radioactive loogies, or whatever they are.
Pretty much, yeah.
Corrosive, radioactive, green slime gunk. If this was done without a ridiculous-looking marionette, that might actually have been frightening. Hell, it could have actually been scary if you just had a guy in a suit like the Toho films. That might have actually been scary. But no, we wind up with Cecil the Seasick Sea Serpent's, crackhead cousin, and... Am I wrong?
No, what I'm laughing at is that nobody is going to get that reference.
No, I know.
Here.
I know. Eric might get it. Hi, Eric. But like I said, if they knew what they were doing and didn't, because that really is an interesting idea for a film.
It is, yes. Just like Plan 9 is an interesting idea for a film, but it was poorly executed.
I still stand by that.
Yeah.
I stand by that. The idea of reanimating the dead to be your foot soldiers is a great idea. If you had somebody else directing it besides Ed Wood, like a chimpanzee, or a drunk sea urchin.
Or Tommy Wiseau.
He said that. I didn't say that. I ain't touching that.
I love Tommy. He's great. What are you talking about?
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Look, it's Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
11-foot Swede. We'd love to know what your favorite monsters from the deep and, abominations from the sky or whatever. We'd love to know what they are, movie-wise and such.
Wait.
What?
That's true. We do. At subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. We didn't make up the other big thing.
What?
Reptilicus is bad enough that it finally made Mystery Science Theater 3000 during the first season of the revival, season 11, on Netflix with Jonah and the bots.
Yeah.
So please, if you haven't seen it, they absolutely have a blast skewering it.
And of course, there have been other monster films about real, quote, quote, sea monsters. or lake monsters. Specifically, the Loch Ness Monster.
And Lake Placid, which
and
was about a giant alligator.
Lake Placid, which is about a giant alligator.
A giant alligator.
Yeah.
No, it was a giant alligator.
Yeah,
So,
which is dumb because alligators couldn't live in that kind of water.
It was a comedy, remember?
Yeah,
Parody.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's too cold up there. But there have been several films made about the Loch Ness Monster. Most of them do tend to paint the monster in a positive light.
Yes.
That he's just being this innocent monster just living in the lake, or she, or they. That they're just living in the lake and everything's cool, and then these nasty humans come along and want to trap them and put them in a zoo or vivisect them or whatever. Every once in a while, you do wind up with a film where Nessie is a rampaging monster that is, eating people and killing people and blah, 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 so on and so forth.
There's no proof of that.
I'm like,
if it is what they think it is, or if it actually exists, it is what they think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was a plant eater, so it wouldn't be a big deal anyway.
No. I've seen one of those films. It was a film that was on Commander USA's Groovy Movies way back in the day.
Was that the one called Nessie?
No, it was called the Loch Ness Horror.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
And it sucked. It
honey, most of Commander USA's
well,
movies
yes,
suck.
I realize that's
See
the point.
Deathquake, one of the worst Japanese disaster movies ever made.
Yeah, I mean, that is the point,
yeah,
but it was terrible.
Yeah.
It looked like it was filmed inside of a sock.
Oh,
it was like, look, I get dark, you're trying to make a point and make us not see that the monster looks like crap, but please, I can't see anything!
We're gonna have more on Halloween with some Halloween-specific oriented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So be sure to tune in Thursday. But until then, we do have one thing we haven't done for a while, and it's coming up next.
When Subject Cinema returns.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm T.C. Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning, from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema with TC and Kim.
I want to do something we haven't done in 2 or 3 years.
What's that?
Subject Cinema. Scream and shout.
It's back, folks. And it's all because of my people, as Kim would say.
Yes, your people.
The Ohio, got to say the because they get pissed if you don't. The Ohio State University Marching Band this weekend premiered an unbelievable routine that has gone completely viral all over the internet.
Yep.
As they presented a 20th anniversary tribute to SpongeBob SquarePants. The marching band is best known for their intricate design stuff that they do during halftime at OSU football games during the fall. And these guys really, I'm sorry, I don't know who choreographed this thing. I don't know who coached these guys through this thing. But it was pretty freaking awesome. We sat and watched the whole thing.
Yep.
It's about 20 minutes long, and it was really something.
It is really funny.
They got SpongeBob, Plankton, Patrick,
Gary,
and Gary all
and jellyfish, dancing jellyfish,
plus a boat, and they had pictures of Patchy. I didn't see any sign of Mr. Crab.
No.
And no Squidward, which really surprised me. But the music was there. Although there is kind of a, what would you call that?
Swipe?
A false start at the end, which pissed the fans in attendance off.
Yeah.
But it was...
there's a nice beep tease at the end.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and
you actually used that word.
I did when we were watching it,
yes.
But it was... good God, can you imagine how many hours went into rehearsing that?
I know.
It was amazing the way that they did some of this stuff, and I'm like, wow. So hats off to the choreographers, the coaches, and the members of the Ohio State University Marching Band for their awesome 20th anniversary tribute to SpongeBob SquarePants, and you guys get the first scream and shout out in over 2 years right here on Subject Cinema.
Yay!
Subject Cinema. Scream and shout. Subject Cinema.
Gonna mosey on out of here. We've had fun talking about this stuff. So
Yeah.
what is your ideas for Halloween? Go big and go home.
Well, I figured we could talk about giant people, because we've talked about giant bugs and giant things from the sky and the sea and stuff like that. We could talk about giant people, and also about giant movies where we're like, you decided to make what huge? And there's been more than a few of those where it's like, okay, yeah, what?
We'll have all that on Thursday on our Halloween edition of Subject Cinema. Don't forget, we have a lot of other shows going on. We've been actually having problems at work that has caused Front Row 5 and 10 to take a couple weeks off. It'll be back in the next week or so. And we have all of our other shows out there, including 3 Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, Platinum Rose's Garden, Ring Around the Rosie, and Cavebabble and Comic Grotto, plus a lot more, Aunt B's Nerd Grotto. We have more stuff coming up, and we hope that you will help us bring you some of the new ideas we've got. And you can do that by joining the PNRNetworks Patron Circle. $5 a month gets you all kinds of cool perks, including exclusive podcasts, exclusive posts, your chance to help us develop some new stuff. We've got some stuff on the board. We've been talking about doing a new React show for Ring Around the Rosie, watching AEW, and also a Let's Play channel.
Yes.
Which we're having fun. Kim also has this brand new great show called Platinum Rose Roleplay over on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is her reading
really,
some of her original stuff, and it's just really amazing stuff.
Well, he's being very kind. It's really new, and there's only a couple of videos up there.
There'll be more.
There will be more. I'm trying. These are things I've written myself or done right off the top of my head, just rambling. And it's my work on my accents and other things like that. So hopefully you'll give it a listen, give it a watch, and leave something behind.
Yeah, and don't forget we have great dramatic stuff out there too. Now following slowly as I finish the site under the generic term, or actually our not generic term, our
generic,
new podcasting term, Imagination Theater.
Yep.
We have our original movie tribute to Cloverfield, which was Manhattan Hammerdown As It Happened. We have our 70th or 80th anniversary of War of the Worlds.
Yep.
In 2018. Unfortunately, because of time constraints and because I couldn't get the script to gel the way I wanted it, our planned one for this Halloween is not going to happen. It will be coming, hopefully, in January with the official premiere of Your Imagination Theater. And hopefully, we'll have 2 or 3 of those, or maybe more if I can write more, a year. It'll be a lot of fun. And you can help out with all that, too. $5 a month, Patreon, on our patron circle, and we'll keep you up to date on all these extra things. You can help us decide stuff. You'll get advanced looks at some stuff, some great extra podcasts, including Kim's patron-only show, Kaiju Corner, and a few other things. And it's less than 17 cents a day.
Yep.
$5 a month is less than the cost of a latte. It's not much to ask. And so we're asking our listeners from our hearts to please join us on this quest, help us do some more, and help support us, because we don't have advertising. We don't accept advertising for the most part. We do have some swag shop coming, but we don't have advertising. And we definitely depend on your love and support for what we do.
Yep.
For the Patron Circle, you get if you join by November 10th, you get a Patron Circle membership certificate and also inclusion in our Thanksgiving Thanks for Giving video. So please join now at patreon.com/PNRNetworks.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us on Twitter, you can follow me at PlatinumRoselle at Twitter.com, and you can follow him on Twitter as well at eCinemaBoston at Twitter.com.
And eCinemaOne.com at Boston.
Yep.
Don't forget to email us also at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. You can do that for anything you'd like to do here. Is that all?
I think that's it.
And considering what we've been talking about, we'll swim and then fly on out of here.
Splash.
For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be butter.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
TTFN.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.